So let's start without further ado. Let me just go into this topic called elements. Nina, can you chat and tell me if you were here the last lesson, last live lesson last month in the month of February? Just
Uh,
say. Mm.
I wasn't.
Oh, it wasn't. Okay. So only Jacqueline was. Okay. So let's quickly recap. If you all have a look at the shared screen, all of you can see the screen, right? So if you see the shared screen, right, you can see some of the scribbling that I have here, which means this is what I covered last week. But we didn't really go into the questions yet. Okay. I managed to use 1 hour to tell the whole class what elements are all about. Okay, why do we need to learn elements? How are they even important? And the very important thing about why I'm doing elements last week and this time around is because you see, like, some of you didn't attend the last time, and of course Jacqueline will be able to get more insight in, because I'm going to do the questions today. Okay, Jacqueline, I won't go through the same thing as last time around. Okay, those who missed the last one, all you have to do is go to the live page on our website, click on past lessons, and you'll be able to see the last month's live lesson. Then you can catch up. Is that clear? It's so easy, isn't it? So that means you miss nothing. It's not like school. You don't go one day, you miss everything, right? Nobody can repeat it to you ever again. Not your teachers, not your students, not your parents. However, a recorded lesson is beautiful in the way that you can capture exactly what was done on that day, even if you are missing, even if you're absent. Okay, so that's the beauty of recording. Okay, so even this lesson today is recorded. Okay, so you can always catch up again if you don't understand anything. So this is the scribbling that I did last time round. Like, I was introducing through the questions first, saying, hey, these are the questions that you'll get in your exams. Yes, going back to why it's very important is because elements will continue through as a topic even in Sec 3 and Sec 4. Okay, in the topic in chemistry especially, where you will learn more, okay, details about elements. Okay, and you will even start doing in the lab, like mixing sodium and chlorine, and even identifying how chlorine gas can be identified in the lab. What's the test you use? What do you use to test for hydrogen and all that, which you wouldn't need to know now. But we will build on your knowledge until you reach Sec 4 O levels. You still have elements. Okay, so this is a very, very important topic. That's why I chose it as a very first topic for February, and I'm continuing one more time to make sure all of you are really good in this topic, because it's really important. Right? So elements can be classified into, okay, so if you're given 4 options, okay, now you can type your answer. Okay, I haven't written the answer now, right? You can type your answer. Let's see. Of course, Jacqueline, I expect you to get it right, but Sinmin and Nina, are you in Sec 1 or 2?
Sec 1.
Can, okay, so you haven't done elements, I suppose, the topic, right? Maybe you have.
I'm
I'm
not
not.
so sure.
Okay. No, you will know what are the topics you've done so far, right? You've done scientific endeavor, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Great. We even have more and more people joining us. Now I have like 7. Okay. Oh, including me, 7. So we have 6 students. All right, let's go. Welcome in, Jaskara. No problem. You're late, but it's okay. We have been waiting for you to come in actually. Akil as well. Okay. So catching up on bit. Okay. So we did the notes bit. So I'll run through the slides of what actually happened last lesson. So this is elements can be classified into. If somebody asks you this, do you know the answer? If you don't know the answer, right, you are really still in primary 6. Okay, you haven't come to Sec 1 yet or Sec 2. So it is important that you know the answer. So for that reason we are conducting this lesson. Okay, like I said, those who didn't attend, the poll is still blocking, is it? Let me just take it out. And polling. Okay. Okay. So those of you who seen this before, is just a recap. So these are the things like, oh, metals can be on the left hand side and non-metals can be on the right hand side. All this you will get information from your class teacher when you're learning the chapter on elements, and also reading your textbook. And also if you go to 88 tuition and you go and click on the chapter on elements, I'm teaching it there, right there. Okay, so don't worry about not knowing anything, just stay with us and just follow through. I'm sure by the end of the 1 hour, right, you'll have at least some idea of what we're trying to do, so that when you do it in class, you'll have a lot more meaning to what's being done in class. Okay, so this was question 2. Okay, let's do question 3. Question 3 is, which two elements belong in the same group? So in order to know which is the same group, this is a periodic table. Okay, this is a periodic table which has a lot of elements missing. What does an actual periodic table look like? I think many of you by primary 6, your busybody selves have already found out what's a periodic table, right? It's full of elements in there, and they are categorized. Okay, they are classified in a certain manner in groups and periods, and they are put according to the properties. Okay, these are the knowledge part which you can catch up anytime. So I'm not going to dwell on it, because like I said, you can catch up on last week's lesson as a recorded one, because we need to keep moving on those. Okay, which two elements belong in the same period? So period and group, there are only 2 terms. You need to know what is period, what is group. This is question 4. If you see question 3, it's asking you which 2 elements belong in the same group. Okay, what's the chemical symbol for potassium? Okay, so let's just look at a few element examples that you may know. Okay, the easiest one is like sodium, or chlorine, or oxygen is even easier, or hydrogen is even easier, right? So what's the chemical symbol for potassium? Many people think it's just the first letter of the like oxygen is O. Can you see I've written down here? This is the last time round I wrote this down. I say many people know oxygen is O. So is it always the first letter? No, right? Okay, it's always the first letter. Okay, feel free to speak if you want. Like, or maybe I just unmute everyone. Then you all can, because we have a very few students. If I have 20 over, I cannot on the mic for everyone, but now I can. Allow participant, yes. Okay, you can unmute, leave it. Okay, tell me if you can't unmute and talk. Okay, just say, just respond as we go along. Don't worry. Okay, so what's the chemical symbol for potassium? Obviously, you think if it starts with P, then it's P, right? Okay, but it's not. The answer is not P. It's not even PO. Sometimes can be the first 2 letters. Okay, because when to these others, phosphorus. This other element called phosphorus. So it's already been given. Okay, so therefore we cannot. So whenever there's a clash, we have to switch the name. So that's why we use K. And where do we get K from? That's an interesting question then. Jacqueline, where do we get K from? Potassium has got no letter K at all. Last week, the last month we did, right? That if they want to name, yeah, very good, Jaskaran. Jaskaran, I'm sure all of you can see. If you can open your chat box, okay, you can see other students replying. So you can keep a track of what others are saying as well at the same time at the side, right? Okay, just open your chat box. Okay, Jaskaran knows he's in Sec 2. He's helping us with it being the Latin name for potassium. Okay, sometimes you just can't get a letter out in English, then you fall back to Latin, because Latin is the ancient scientific language. It's just like Greek is the ancient language for mathematics. Remember, mathematics, we use a lot of Greek symbols like theta, alpha, beta, and so on, right? Yeah. So we have to know Greek, we have to know Latin. At least Greek, right, is still existing. Latin is like non-existent, it's like super ancient. Okay. Let's move on. These are just the questions. Okay. So of course we can, if you want to know the answer for like define the term element, an element, we definitely have to know what's element because today's topic is on element and you don't know what is element. Somebody asks you what's an element. Okay. Element is not a brand of some shirt. Element is a substance that cannot be broken down into 2 or more simpler substances by chemical methods. That means after you break it down, for example, salt. Salt, if you take it, is actually in a combined form of 2 elements. Okay, so what do you do to salt? You try to break it down. So if you try to break it down, of course, you get their components that they are made up with, sodium element and chlorine element. And then you try to break sodium further down. you can't break it anymore. That means that's the simplest element, sodium, and there's the simplest element, chlorine. Therefore, there are two elements in the sodium chloride compound. When two are, okay, which is a compound. When you break them up and if they can break into something else, they become elements. And when we have a lot of elements, we start to put them into a table so that we can study them systematically. If you study them systematically, that means you can put it in a table, just like your timetable, rows and columns. You tend to put the time in the rows and the column you put Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and they seem to match, right? Like you can find exactly where at 10 o'clock on Thursday what you have. Is it math or geography? You can find out. Why? Because it's systematic way. When we classify elements, so we want to find them because there are so many. Okay, how many are there? How many are there? Okay, that's a question that you may want to have it in your mind first. Okay, state one characteristic. Same group will be like that, like a row. Same period will be like that. Sorry, this is group. This is this period. Okay, so group is vertical. In the periodic table, we call it a group. Say, can I call it a table? You can call it a column. But here we call it a group. We try to make it scientifically universal so everybody understands what you're saying. Because like you see the question here, so where is it? All this same group. So what do you have? Sodium, you may have potassium. What do you think are the similarities of sodium and potassium? Okay. Then in the same group, so let me, that same group, right? Okay, you may have calcium, you may have sulfur, and so on and so forth. Okay, so you are not required to memorize the arrangement at all. Why? Just current placing of all these elements in the table. You can type, you can answer verbally, no problem. Okay, or Jacqueline, you can do that as well. Because you guys are more experienced, help us. Do you need, all the question is maybe the very first one, which is the very first element? Is it hydrogen or helium? Many people still confused about that. Okay. No answer. Lazy to answer. You want me to answer? Okay, then let's go through the next slide until you all find the answer. State one characteristic of elements in the same group and they have similar chemical properties. State one characteristic of elements in the same period. The properties gradually have to write. What does that mean? Means this side is metals. You'll have properties of metal, shiny and strong, and this side you'll have non-metals. The proton numbers are increasing in order. This one Jaskaran also told us just now about proton number. Okay, proton number means they're growing in size. Okay, like 1 proton, 2 proton, 3. So when they go down, they also have 1 proton, but they may have 2 shells, but still 1 proton in the outer shell. So this is slightly advanced. This drawing stuff, you might need to learn it only in Sec 3.